I'm Josh Rine, licensed professional counselor, and this is Responding in Relationships, Emotional Intelligence in Action for Better Communication. This is based on Pillar 6 in the Pause and Respond framework, where emotional control gets tested in real conversations, where intelligence is not the advantage people think it is, and where pressure exposes the gap between what you know and how you respond. A lot of people assume if they are smart, they should be good at communication. They should be able to explain clearly, think clearly, handle conversations well. That's not how it works, because under pressure, intelligence doesn't lead. Your nervous system does. That's why smart people say the wrong thing, not because they lack insight, but because pressure changes how their brain functions. So let's make this real. You're in a conversation. Someone challenges you. Maybe they question one of your decisions. Maybe they criticize something you did. Maybe they say something that feels unfair to you. And instantly, your system reacts. Your thoughts speed up. Your body tightens. Your tone shifts. And now you're not communicating. You begin defending. Smart people often faster thinkers, which means under pressure, they generate their responses quickly. But speed is not the same as clarity. Fast thinking under emotions often produces sharp responses, over explanations, defensiveness, sarcasm, and intellectual arguments instead of supporting connection. And all of those responses create distance in any relationship. Here's the pattern. The smarter the person, the more likely they are to try to prove their point, try to win the argument, try to out-explain the situation, or go back and correct every detail. But conversations are not debates. They are emotional exchanges. And logic doesn't always regulate emotion. Let me give you an example. Someone says, "That didn't sit right with me." A smart person might respond, "Well, that's not what I meant. If you look at the situation logically, here's what actually happened." Now, technically, that person may be right or correct in what they're saying, but emotionally, they just invalidated the other person. So now the conversation shifts from understanding to defensiveness. That's the trap. Being right doesn't mean being effective. And under pressure, effectiveness matters more than accuracy. Another pattern smart people fall into: over-explaining. They think, if I just explain this better, they'll somehow understand. So they talk more. They add more detail, more context, more reasoning. But the more they talk, the more pressure builds. And the other person begins to stop listening, because overwhelmed people don't absorb more information. They either shut down or they push back. Pressure also creates something else. It narrows focus. When you're triggered, you stop seeing the full picture. You begin to focus on your point, your defense, or your interpretation. And you lose awareness of the other person's emotion, their experience, and their perspective. And that's why conversations break down. Not because people are unintelligent, but because they become emotionally narrow. So let's flip it. Someone says, "That didn't sit right with me." Instead of correcting, you pause and you respond with something like, "Tell me what didn't feel right." Now you're creating space. You're gathering information and the conversation remains open. That's emotional intelligence under pressure. Not reacting to the surface, but understanding what's underneath. Another issue, smart people often struggle with control. Not emotional control, but control of the conversation. They want to guide it, shape it, direct or correct it. But when control is threatened, they react because it feels like they're losing position. And that reaction shows up as interrupting, correcting tone, cutting people off, pushing harder, maybe even talking faster. All of these create resistance because people generally don't like feeling controlled. Here's the shift. You don't need to control the conversation. You need to control yourself in the conversation. That's where influence comes from. Reactive intelligence sounds like, let me explain why you're wrong. Controlled intelligence sounds like, help me understand what you're seeing. One escalates, one opens. Another truth. Smart people often attach identity to being right. So when they're challenged, it doesn't feel like a discussion. It feels like a threat. And when identity is threatened, reaction tends to increase. That's why emotional separation matters. You are not your argument. You are not your explanation. You are not your point. When you detach identity from being right, you gain flexibility. And flexibility creates better communication. Let me give you a real-world moment. A partner says, you're always on your phone. A smart response might be, that's not accurate. I've actually been more present this week. Yesterday, I only checked it twice during dinner. Again, this would be technically a strong response, but relationally, it's weak. A controlled response would sound something like, yeah, I can see how it feels that way. I've been distracted. I'll work on that. Short, clear, regulated. The response builds trust. This is the difference between intellectual strength and emotional strength. Intellectual strength proves points, but emotional strength protects relationships. Smart people don't need to become less intelligent. They need to become more disciplined in how they use it. That means slowing down their thinking, simplifying some responses, prioritizing connection over correction, choosing timing over speed, and choosing clarity over complexity. This is a skill, and like every skill, it can be trained. You can learn it. Pause before explaining, ask before correcting, listen before responding, shorten your answers under pressure, focus on what matters instead of everything that's inaccurate. Because in real conversations, you don't need to say everything. You don't need to say the right thing at the right time, in the right tone. Reactive people try to sound smart. Controlled people try to be effective. That's the difference. This is what we're building in this series. Not just emotional awareness, but emotional execution. Not just understanding, but emotional control. If you've ever walked away from a conversation thinking, I shouldn't have said it like that, or that came out wrong, or I made that worse, that's not a lack of intelligence. That's a lack of regulation under pressure, and that can be trained. This is Pillar 6, responding in relationships in the pause and respond framework. And sometimes the smartest thing you can do in a conversation is say less. If you want to go deeper into this framework, the Pause and Respond book and workbooks can be found on pauseandrespond.com. We're also going to start some one-on-one coaching availability to help with this for folks that want to work on a live treatment coaching plan to help develop better skill sets. And all this can be done at pauseandrespond.com. Episode 5 is now complete. We got 10 more to go in this series. Please follow the show so you don't miss the next episode, because next time we're going to talk about why boundaries fail when you need approval. Less reaction, more choice.